Hey, how you doing? Woke up today and I was like, hey, what if instead of just going live later and stuff, what if I just wake up early and see if I can make a video hit like 300 views or something, previewing the Thursday Night Football. So here we are. I'm going to be talking about the contest that I'm personally playing, how I'm going to approach it, and just my thoughts and opinions on the slate. So let's hop right into it. So when we're looking at this slate now, maybe I'm going to really try and push this video just to see if I can break into other people. You might not know who I am. My name's Brandon. I play DFS for a living. I've been doing it for years. I want to talk through the process and stuff recently, or not recently, but even the past like 3 days and stuff. You can just see how I'm performing and stuff. Played the optimal on the afternoon slate for Sunday. I don't play the main slates. I'm a kick away, or a Brock Bowers, another catch away from passing Shady and these guys for first in this Monday Night Football contest and stuff. I finished 45th in the Mega Eights last night in NBA, so I'm kind of just dabbling around. Now I haven't been playing as heavily the past couple weeks just because I'm taking a break and moving in between houses and stuff. But figured I'd hop on here. What do I offer, or what do we do here at TrueDFS? These are all the tools that we use. I'll talk about how I go through this. If you look on the YouTube channel, you'll see that there are streams for nearly pretty much every game between me, Sheets, and Bobby. Specifically, I made all the Monday Night Football streams live, literally up until lock is like a sporadic live show on Monday. So I'm just going to talk through about how I use the tools, how I use SaberSim, how I use our stuff. We also do have a Stake Kings package. If for those of you, because there are people who don't necessarily play DFS, you might not sports bet, but you enjoy staking players on in their poker tournaments, in their DFS stuff. We do also offer that. And just because I'm going through and talking about all this stuff today, I haven't let's see, is this one? Staking is very kind to change my own personal link to my Cruise 5360. So I will actually be putting up two packages. Actually, not two packages. I will be doing two entries tonight in the 444 for our Stake Kings users on TrueDFS. If you are interested in that, you can go ahead and join our Stake Kings package. I'll throw two entries into the showdown specifically just for the TrueDFS Stake Kings users for that. Now, as we look at the slate today, now there's a lot of variables. Obviously, I'm recording this at 7 a.m. Okay, a lot of things can change, but first and foremost, it's being reported now. Poly market football, okay, whatever. But rumblings around that there's a chance that Keon Coleman is like stuffing dead bodies under his crawl space or something, and he's expected to be benched again this week. That's pretty interesting. Okay, for the fact that, and I'm not doing 150. I'm doing, I think, 40. I have no clue. 44 in each contest or whatever. And I'm going to explain why, why I'm not doing 150 here. But when we look at specifically at the depth chart of the Buffalo Bills, how does this affect the slate? Now, yet again, this is early. If Coleman is in, he's a great play, whatever the case. But at the moment, I'm working on the information that Keon Coleman might not play tonight. Now, when we look at the injuries that we have for the Buffalo Bills, okay? Now, obviously, we probably need to go over here. We look at the total here. I think this is a much bigger game. I think, similar to Cowboys and Raiders on Monday, I think Buffalo kind of just slaughters the field and destroys Houston. And when we're looking to build, I don't really care if it's popular or not, as seen, or going back, you can play pretty. We're gonna go through, just use this as an example of where we're at. So we need the showdown. I would use the big one for the example here, right? These are, when we're looking at a popular stack or build wise, in a game that I think is a game script that's very similar to Dallas. I don't think Houston's going to be able to really keep up with them. And we see, a heavy situation where people are going to be very heavy on Dallas, right? Now this is a 3-3. I don't really get into the actual, like, I don't frankly care if I'm playing more 4-1s, 5-1s, 3-3. I like Dallas today. I'm gonna prioritize, in my lineups having Dallas players. Now, just for for just how it's happened, we're seeing a lot of 3-3s, some 4-4s and stuff. And I mean, I'm playing lineups with 0 in them as well. But even when we look at the amount of duplications in this thing, 52 to 76 on my highest one. Another train of 27th, first, and stuff. I mean, that's still not too bad for a 300K to first. We're gonna have slight trains and stuff. We're not gonna have entire solo lineups, and especially in a situation like this. I mean, maybe this one had 2 or whatever. But I'm personally not too concerned about the trains and especially the duplications in a slate like this, because let's X out of all these so I don't need them on my screen. Because I just think Buffalo is the better team. Okay, now when we're looking at the depth chart here, okay, now who can we play from the Buffalo side? Actually, be easier looking at it this way. Where does everybody line up from a salary perspective? Okay, Kincaid is out. Okay, Coleman is out at this point in time. Okay, what does that do to the salary of the Bills team? Okay, that means we have a 12-4 Josh Allen, an 11-4 James Cook, whatever these idiots are called, and then Kyle Shakir. And then literally everybody else for the Bills are like practically free. And what I mean by that is when we're building, okay, typically when you are building a lineup or whatever, in most situations here, usually, and I'm using this for a teaching situation, because most of the time you're playing important guys, whatever the case may be, in your lineups. Once you get your first 3 guys in, your average salary is normally around anywhere from like 3,800, 39, 42, 45, 48 or whatever, right? The fact that the Buffalo team is outside of these guys, okay, right? You get these goober heads in here. Coleman most likely not playing. Obviously Prater at 52, which, hey man, if you're not, first off, train has kind of left the station. You're kind of behind the curve if you're not playing kickers. You just need to. They're kicking balls. Most kickers are projected. Their realistic outcome is like 8 to 12 points. Just play the kicker over the defense, guys. But the entirety of the Buffalo Bills team is $4,200 and below, right? So that opens up a lot of salary. We also have the case of C.J. Stroud not playing, okay? Now, Mills might not be as good, but yet again, we get a quarterback on the slate for $400 cheaper than what, he should be at. So this is a pretty soft slate in terms of salary, just due to the fact that we have injuries, due to the fact that Coleman is probably not playing. If he is, he's still in play. But, I'm working on what's going on right now. So, when we're building lineups and we are talking about stuff, also, side note, Brian Jester from Occupy Fantasy, I think the only guy you should actually listen to for content. He does an amazing breakdown and stuff. Must listen to. I want to talk about the Millionaire Maker winner on Sunday. Obviously, I played the optimal on the afternoon slate, and I just stacked Jacoby Brissett, to the moon and back. A lot of people are like, "Wow, crazy!" Like a 4-1 stack was optimal or whatever. Well, it's really not that crazy when the quarterback's free. Okay, McBride was expensive. The rest of Arizona was like dirt cheap at 3K. Yeah, no shit, you're going to be able to afford a whole team when everybody's, cheap, right? Very similar situation today with Buffalo and stuff. So, I like Buffalo to score. I want to get as many of the major players on the Buffalo side as possible. Who are those individuals? Josh Allen, James Cook, Kyle Shakir, okay? After that, it's just whoever ends up getting the ball, okay? So when we're building on a slate like this, there's a real chance for a lot of duplications. Now, yet again, I'm gonna be talking about lineups. This is at 7:55, very early in the day, 11 hours before the slate starts. news could potentially break that changes stuff. I don't even know if these are lines that I'm playing. But it's very easy to get Josh Allen in the captain position today and have a very heavy, Bills heavy type of lineup, okay? That seems like a no-brainer, okay? Now we get into a situation to where we are trying to anticipate what the field is going to do. What lineups are you specifically trying to build and play against in your contests, okay? Josh Allen optimal or Josh Allen captain, probably going to be highly owned. Josh Allen with Bill stacks, going to be very highly owned because it's very easy to have the entirety of the fucking Bills team, here. Like, whoa, man, you're telling me I can get the entire Bills offense and still have $4,000 left over? That seems like a great way to build today, okay? When we're looking at, bigger contests and stuff. How do you get different, okay? This is when we can start moving over to, and we're just going to use Saber Sims projections for this point because we're so early in the day. Okay, and we're going to build lineups and look through stuff. When we look at the mean projection for these players, okay, where are people at? Obviously, Allen is at 20. Now, this, yet again, this is just Saber Sims stuff, obviously, early in the day. These are his potential outcomes that Saber Sim has today, okay? We look at the other players for the Bills team. Now, obviously, we can see where they kind of come in line and stuff at, where their projections fall in line. There's a high percentage that, I apologize, I got a cough drop in my mouth, that Josh Allen is the highest scoring player on the slate. He's very affordable, very easy. Okay, so what does that mean? I think this, early, I don't even have to think anything. It's early in the day. I think Josh Allen in the captain position is going to be very highly owned today, if not in the 30s and 40s, because it's maybe not 40s, but I think he pushes, 32% because he's so easy to fit in today. What is his likelihood to be the highest scorer on the slate? I would give him 25 and 28%. So we could argue that he's slightly over-owned in the captain position, but I think we're splitting hairs there, and I don't think that's necessarily where you need to waste a lot of time thinking about it today. What you need to think about is, do you want to potentially get different? Now, yet again, we're playing DFS here. We're not playing cash games. We're not playing 50-50s. At least I'm not. 20% of the field gets paid out in most contests, right? If you're looking to have less duplications in today's contest, potentially looking at the other players from Buffalo as your captain seems to be the easier way to go and differentiate yourself. That then becomes, James Cook. That then becomes Kyle Shakir. Now, yet again, I'm building today. I'm being transparent. I'm here all the time talking about stuff, about how I'm approaching it. I'm not going to use the Houston side as a captain play today. But if you're using Shakir, and yet again, this is very similar to, I played the optimal to open the year on the Thursday night game with the Bills. And I think with Coleman as the captain or whatever. And I did the exact same thing. Stack the Bills, just you end up having a catcher up there, a lower owned guy compared to Josh Allen and stuff. I think that Kyle Shakir, James Cook seem to be guys that if you aren't willing to enter a lot of lineups or potentially leave salary on the table to potentially get different, Josh Allen and Kyle Shakir seems to make a lot of sense. Same thing with Dalton Schultz, since Kincaid is out. Yet again, if we're playing a team here, hey, very affordable. I can have the actually not Schultz. What's his name? Knox. I'm thinking of the Bills guy here. I can have the entire offense of the Bills. $6,000 remaining for two other players. Pay down, end up in an AK range for your Houston guy. Potentially get Nico Collins, whatever. Right? Maybe not Nico Collins because that'd be $1,000. Well, maybe. I mean, I play lineups that leave 0 or that have a 0 on there. Does Elijah Moore get used since Curtis Samuel's out, since Kincaid is out? He's here for $1,000. It makes a lot of sense. Just thinking through or looking at stuff, that seems to be the way that I would analyze the slate. Now let's go ahead and look at actual building for this slate and potentially what the field is going to do, because understanding what the field is playing is, I would argue, more important than anything else. Why is ownership the most important projected number for any sport, any slate? Why is that? Also, I'm going to do now. Some people might not agree with this. This is just how I play. I'm going to, especially in a slate like this, if you, as you can see, I have, I have, 44 or whatever reserved in the 5, 20, and 10. And then as I said, I'm going to play 2 in the 44 for our State Kings package guys, if you want access to that, at a much lower, what is it called? Markup compared to regular users on State Kings. I like to play the same lineups in my contests, especially on a slate like this. Now, sometimes if it's much more open in terms of who can win, what the captains are, so on and so forth, then yeah, sure, if I'm doing 150, I don't really care about duplications that much. But in a slate like this, I just want to play the same lineups in my contest. And so I would do the same thing here of having this open and then, import the my SaberSim lineups in here. But I want to use this as the entry for SaberSim, so I'm not having to mess anything up here. This is SaberSim, not Hitler SS. Okay, I'm just making that. Don't cancel me, please. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at the potential early, first look. And I'm pretty sure I have Stephon Diggs as the thumbnail for this because that's the only Bills player that I have. Let's make sure it's still pulling the 10, so it's just the 10. Why am I using now? Question mark. Or thought process. I enjoy from a playing perspective. I enjoy playing contests that we're focusing on contests that are less than 10,000 people. Okay, typically that means that you're either paying up in the, what the hell is going on? That is NBA, not NFL. So you're usually either paying up at an entry fee, or let's move this down. When we're looking at the major contests that people are going to enter, okay, the smallest one is the $10 with 7,000 people in it. I like playing that contest. They used to have an 8 as well and a 6 150, but obviously we're later in the year. We're like in week 11 or whatever. We don't have those anymore. This is probably my favorite contest to actually play. Okay, now when I sim stuff, okay, sometimes I'll use the luxury box. Sometimes I'll use other contests because train of thought here. Okay, same thing with the Mega 8s. Okay. Because I played that Mega 8s lineup in the $5 NBA one last night. Train of thought here. If a lineup is projected to score very well and potentially either win a contest, usually at a magnitude or a size of $7,000, usually that lineup is going to be close to the optimal, if not the optimal. So why not just play that in all the lineups? Back or even when I hand build, if I'm hand building, if I hand build, I'm building a lineup because I think that is the best lineup that is going to be played. Why would I not play that in more contests? So anyway, we're just using the 10 to sim stuff and everything. Also, then yet again, we have access to Goldie's projections. All this is early in the day, and I don't know when they were updated last. I mean, this is we're 12 hours away or whatever, right? But I want to look at where we're going to do that just so we don't have to change anything here. Let's take a look at where the field is going. We're not making any adjustments at this point. Now, when you guys hop into live shows, when you watch me build lineups, like whenever I'm doing my stuff, you're seeing exactly the inputs that I'm making in SaberSim. And this is the exact same thing I do on live shows I want to build lineups first before I make any adjustments, before I have any input. I want to see what is being given to me for multiple different reasons. Now, yet again, I'm using a different projection source. I think Goldie's projections are projections than the typical SaberSim user. Okay, but SaberSim is partnered with Ship Nation, Run Pure, us, SaberSim, pure subscribers, which just want to say, because I can't say it, if you have SaberSim through SaberSim.com, you can cancel that and then just get SaberSim through us, and you have even more stuff. Not only do you get everything from SaberSim, but you get all of our projections. You also then get the PayDirt analytic tools, basically 3 sites in one here for $320. I think SaberSim by itself at the site through them is $300. Like, just pay the $20 extra and get like three sites from us. But I digress. SaberSim is a fantastic tool. Okay, if you're just using the SaberSim projections, your inputs are the same as a lot of people. Now, they have plenty of algorithms and, safety things in check to make sure everybody just isn't getting the exact same stuff. But if you put in a different projection source, either both projections or ownership, it really saves you from not being with I was going to say riffraff, but like not being with the same people, or not being with all the people using the exact same data source or whatever. But that can help you just be different right off the bat. Secondly, I'm doing this to potentially look at what lineups are being used. I'm going to run contest sims here because I want to see what is being projected here, right? I want to see what is being used with no handicaps or anything. Yet again, this is just 45 lineups. You could change this and, look at the top 300 or whatever. It's just early in the day. We're just looking through. But I want to see what is being given to me if I don't make any adjustments. Okay, if I run the sims based on everything that we know right now at 8 o'clock in the morning, and where these lineups are going. So let's go ahead and wait here. So early in the day, we are looking at, and I'm looking at what the exposure rates being given by the sim tool right now is. So I'm at 31% Josh Allen in the captain position. Okay, yet again, when I started, I haven't looked at this yet. When I was just talking through earlier, I said I think Josh Allen's going to be played, in the 30s for his captain. Okay, that's right. We're at here. We're looking at Nico Collins and James Cook, and then Mills because he's priced pretty cheap. But at this point, I want to look at the pool here, right? So we're looking at a pool of 5,000 lineups, and it follows a bit of a similar path here. So Allen, Cook, Shakir. Okay, so obviously Josh Allen's probably going to be pushed today as a captain play, as we can see. Let's go ahead and look specifically at these Josh Allen lineups. What is the stack exposure looking like? Looking like a lot of Josh Allen stacks, right? Yet again, why am I looking at this right now? It's 12 hours away. I don't know if I'm playing these lineups. Things can change. But we're going ahead, and we're seeing a lot of, 5-1s and stuff. A lot of, just a lot of stuff we talked about, obviously. And I think these are all, fairly decent, obvious lineups, right? I think it's going to be very difficult to have lineups today that don't have Josh Allen the captain that are going to eclipse his points. I just think Josh Allen seems to be the captain today. Now, personally, for me, I know Jester talks about it a lot on his stuff. What has been the way to get a, not advantage, but you have sim products and sim tools pushing, better lineups. The worst DFS player is a way better DFS player than they were, years ago or whatever. What are ways to counterbalance or counteract the sim tools, all the stuff people are using and stuff like that? It can be, and we've seen this in F1, we've seen it in esports, we see it here. You can either run the same amount of entries but less lineups, and you purposely run trains of your own. Okay, 2, you get even more aggressive on your approaches, which it's what I do. Now I'm perfectly fine, just burning money away, whatever. I'm fully understand. I play DFS, whatever, right? It doesn't matter. I like going in on, typically 1 to 2 captains. Okay, that seems to work out pretty decent for me. Today seems like one of those days to where you play 100% of Josh Allen in the captain, or you play 0 and you spread out the Bills captains up top between Shakir, James Cook, as the 2 guys that I would use. Now, yet again, Sabersim has Coleman in. If Coleman is in, throw him into that mix as well. Okay, but we're seeing Coleman being in, and it's not really affecting the field too much, or not really affecting the build too much. Let's say Coleman is in, right? Where are we at, Coleman? We're still, I mean, yet again, we're close to that $3,000 mark, but I would still, happily stack the Bills side of this game. Anyway, I like Josh Allen today. My thought process, when the slate started based on the salaries, based on where we're at, I like Josh Allen, the captain. That's probably where I'm going to end up going today. Now, why make a video like this? Why go into so much detail if, you're giving the edge away and whatever? I mean, I make my money from, obviously playing DFS. I make it from TrueDFS because this is the site that I work for, that I have a percentage in, right? Like, I get paid from TrueDFS. I get paid from StakeKings. I have multiple sources of income in the DFS space. I don't think I'm giving that much away. Any smart individual can figure out, hey, Josh Allen in the captain position makes a lot of sense today. I'm just going through the process and stuff. What I would then do, and what I will do later once we get closer to lock, is then, be more aggressive on my max salary, be more aggressive on certain players that I think I want to have ownership to, maybe ownership, or maybe places that I don't want ownership to. Like, for example, right now we're looking at the exposure rates of, yet again, the sim results of this early thing, whatever it is. And so we see, are there any, for example, this is just early in the day. If I think the Bills are going to slaughter the Houston team, I don't want 31% Houston Texans. Now, I have been, and it's been pretty decent to me, I usually X out at least one defense, if not both. Today, I will absolutely not be playing the Texans defense. There'll be other plays that I go through and potentially choose to not play or lower the exposure rates and stuff like that. But that's, a much closer to lock thing. And if you've been here, you've seen me do it enough. I just stream my process, on how I build stuff. That's pretty much it. Just wanted to talk the Bills and Texans game tonight. Want to go through, talk about stuff, and let's see how many views we can get on this. That's the main goal. I was just kind of curious. I hope I hit 300. If I don't, I will be immensely disappointed, and that'll ruin my night. Anyway, see you guys later. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.